This is more than a book summary. It is an invitation to question everything you believe about yourself and your life. If you are ready, this profound wisdom will free your mind in ways you never imagined. I only share insights from books that have truly transformed lives, including my own, because I believe a single book can reshape your entire future. Today's book is not just different, it is dangerous. Once you absorb its truths, you can never again see your life the same way. You can never hide behind your past, nor claim you cannot change. You will discover that it is not your trauma, your upbringing, your education, or your failures that hold you back. It is the story you relentlessly tell yourself. This book, The Courage to be Disliked, will teach you how to finally break free. You will learn to escape the grip of your past, to stop being controlled by others' opinions, to achieve emotional liberation, and to reclaim sovereignty over your life. This is not merely an explanation. It is your next breakthrough. It will not only enhance your understanding, but more importantly, it will fundamentally transform how you think. Let us begin this journey. Night 1, Dini Trauma. People can change. The past does not matter. The first chapter opens with a shocking premise. A young man consumed by frustration confronts a philosopher. It is easy for you to say people can change, he argues, but I cannot. My past has molded me into who I am. He recounts his hurts, his shyness, his fear of others, insisting, if I had not experienced that trauma, I would be different. The philosopher responds with a bold declaration. No, your past does not control you. You are using your past to justify the life you are choosing right now. This is the first painful truth. You are not a product of your past. You are a product of your choices. This book is rooted in Adlerian psychology, a perspective vastly different from common belief. Most people subscribe to trauma-based psychology because this happened to me. I became this way. Because I was bullied, I became shy. Because I was poor, I became anxious. Because my parents were toxic, I do not trust anyone. But Adler asserts this is backward thinking. You are not controlled by your past. You are controlled by the goal you hold right now, even if you are unaware of it. The philosopher explains, you are not shy because you were bullied. You are shy because you wish to avoid rejection. Blaming your past is a strategy to remain safe. Let us unpack this. Imagine a man who claims, I cannot speak to people because I was bullied in school. The truth is, in this moment, he is choosing not to speak. Why? Because if he tries and faces rejection again, it will hurt. So he avoids interaction and then blames the past. But in reality, it is not the trauma that stops him, it is fear. This idea is frightening because it demands full responsibility. Yet, it is also immensely powerful, for it means we possess the power to change. Truth 2, you are not broken, you are avoiding responsibility. The young man asks, so, are you saying my trauma does not matter? That what happened to me was not real. The philosopher answers with compassion. No, what happened was real. But how you choose to live with it, that is your decision. You can choose to become bitter, or you can choose to grow. You can declare, this happened to me, and that is why I can never change. Or you can affirm, this happened to me, and that is why I must become strong. The philosopher states, the past is not something that exists now. Only your thoughts about the past exist. And here is the core message of Night 1. No experience is a direct cause of our success or failure. We do not suffer from the shock of our experiences. We interpret them to suit our purposes. What does this mean for you? If you are clinging to pain, if you believe your life cannot change because of past events, if you constantly replay your childhood, your heartbreaks, your failures, then ask yourself, are you using that as a reason to avoid taking action now? Because the past is no longer in control. You are. The moment you cease blaming is the moment you become free. You do not need more healing. You need more courage. The courage to stop dwelling in the past and the courage to forge a new future. The philosopher concludes that people can change, not because they must, but because they decide to. And that is the courage to be disliked. Let us pause here. If this lesson resonated deeply, if it shook your beliefs or prompted you to re-examine your own narrative, then it has served its purpose. This book offers no comfort. It provides no mere motivational quotes. It is a catalyst for mental transformation. And this was only Night 1. Night 2. All problems are interpersonal relationship problems. The philosopher looks directly at the young man and declares, there is no such thing as a personal problem. Every problem is a problem between you and someone else. The young man is stunned. That is not true, he exclaims. What about my anxiety, my low self-esteem, my loneliness? But the philosopher calmly replies, even those are born from relationships. If other people did not exist, those problems would not exist. This is the genesis of a truth that will forever alter your life. Truth 1, we are unhappy because of comparison, not reality. Imagine you live on a secluded island. You have ample food. You are healthy. Then, one day, a stranger arrives. He is stronger, richer, smarter. Suddenly, you feel weak, poor, inferior. But ask yourself, did I feel that way before he arrived? No. Your reality remained unchanged. Your comparison shifted. This is the root of most of our suffering. We compare ourselves to others, feel inadequate, and blame ourselves. A woman feels insecure about her appearance. She declares, I hate my face. I hate my body. But she did not always feel this way. She felt fine until she began seeing seemingly perfect individuals on social media. She started comparing herself to people who do not even look that way in real life. Now she avoids going out, convinced she is ugly, feeling worthless. But here is the truth: the problem is not her face. The problem is her fear of being judged by others. The real problem is interpersonal. Truth 2. Inferiority is not given to you, you create it. We all experience feelings of inadequacy at some point, less attractive, less intelligent, less successful. But Adlerian psychology teaches that inferiority is not something others impose upon you. It is something you construct within yourself based on whom you choose to compare yourself to. The young man asks, so, are you saying I should just stop comparing myself? The philosopher answers, yes, because you do not need to be anyone else. Your value is not determined by how high you climb. Your value is determined by how far you have come from your own starting point. 2 students fail a math test. One laments, I am stupid, Everyone else passed. I am not good enough. The other observes I failed, but I performed better than last time. I will improve again. One compares himself to others, the other compares himself to his own growth. Which one will persist? Which one will grow stronger? This is the fundamental difference between a life of anxiety and a life of peace. Truth 3, self-hate, is the desire to be loved. The philosopher reveals an even more painful insight. Even when you express self-hate, it is because you yearn for someone to love you. When someone says, I am such a loser, nobody cares about me, I am just useless, it sounds like self-inflicted pain. But deep down, they hope someone will respond, no, you are not. You are amazing. It is a secret plea for affection. But here lies the danger. If you perpetually wait for others to affirm your self-worth, you will always remain vulnerable, for your confidence will be contingent upon their opinions. And the more you strive to be liked, the more terrified you become of being disliked. Truth 4, the desire to be special, is a trap. We are conditioned to believe you must surpass others. You must win. You must stand out. You must succeed or be forgotten. But this fosters a perilous mindset. If I am not special, I am worthless. This is the breeding ground for depression, anxiety, and jealousy. The philosopher explains the need to be special is, in fact, a need to feel superior. And superiority always necessitates someone else's inferiority. This means you can never genuinely celebrate others' successes. You will secretly resent their victories. You will never feel sufficient. But here is the solution. The answer: be ordinary and be happy. This is the book's boldest counsel. Do not strive to be special. Simply strive to be yourself. Being normal is not a failure, it is freedom. You do not need to be superior to anyone. You just need to be authentically you, without fear. And that requires true courage. Because when you cease trying to impress people, some will not like you. Some will reject you. Some will ignore you. But that is acceptable because your value does not originate from their approval. It emanates from your heart. Imagine a young man who fears public speaking. He confesses, I lack confidence. I am afraid people will laugh at me. I am afraid they will judge me. The philosopher asks, why does their opinion outweigh your own? The young man replies, because I want to be liked. And therein lies the problem. When your objective is to be liked, you become a slave to others. But when your objective is to live honestly, even if others dislike you, that is true freedom. Every problem is a relationship problem. You fear rejection. You fear judgment. You fear not being enough. But once you embrace this, you can begin to heal. The philosopher concludes with this: the courage to be happy is the courage to be disliked. It is the courage to live your truth, even if the world does not applaud. If this chapter illuminated your understanding, if it made you feel finally seen, if it empowered you to stop comparing and start living your truth, then remember, you are not broken. You are simply ensnared by the fear of judgment. And once you release that fear, you are free. This was only night 2. Night 3, discard other people's tasks. You are not living to satisfy the expectations of others. The young man is now angry. It is easy for you to speak of happiness and courage, he asserts, but in the real world, we do not live in isolation. We have parents, friends, teachers, bosses, people who expect things from us. If we ignore them, they will hate us. If we live our own life, we will hurt people. The philosopher listens calmly. Then he replies with one of the book's most profound lessons. You are suffering because you are performing tasks that are not yours. This concept is called task separation, and it is the secret to emotional freedom. Let me explain it in the deepest, clearest, and most powerful way possible. Truth 1, most of your anxiety stems from undertaking responsibilities that are not yours. Consider this: you are terrified of failing in school because your parents will be disappointed. You constantly agree to things you do not want to do because you fear your friends will be upset. You conceal your true thoughts because you desire people to like you. You pursue a career you do not love because society expects it. Now, pause and ask yourself, whose task am I fulfilling? Because here is the powerful realization: it is not your job to live someone else's life, and it is not their job to control yours. This is the source of suffering. You are carrying other people's emotional baggage, and it is time to release it. There is a girl who loves to paint. She feels alive when she paints. It is her passion, her purpose, her gift. But her father declares, you cannot become an artist. That is not a real job. You will fail. Now she is torn. If she chooses art, she will disappoint her father. If she chooses safety, she will disappoint herself. So what does she do? She abandons her dream. She enrolls in medical school. Years later, she is successful but empty. She cries in the shower. She feels numb. She lost herself. Why? Because she bore her father's expectations and never questioned, whose life am I living? That is the central question of night 3. Truth 2. You must separate your task from theirs. The philosopher elucidates, a task is any responsibility where the outcome directly impacts a specific person. Studying is your task, but whether your parents are proud is their task. Expressing love is your task, but whether the other person reciprocates that love is their task. Being honest is your task, but whether others accept you is their task. When you conflate these, you become emotionally trapped. Here is what happens. You cease doing what is right for you. You live in dread of rejection. You attempt to control others' feelings, which leads to exhaustion, depression, anxiety, and anger. Imagine a boy in class. He has a brilliant idea, but he does not raise his hand. Why? He thinks, what if people laugh? What if I am wrong? Now here is the truth: raising his hand is his task. How others respond is not his task. But he forgets this. He believes he must control their reaction. And so he remains silent. He loses his voice. He loses his courage. And worst of all, he loses his freedom. Now multiply this behavior over years. He does not speak in meetings. He does not ask for what he needs. He does not refuse what he despises. He becomes invisible. All because he never learned to separate tasks. Truth 3. When you interfere in other people's tasks, you forfeit your own life. The philosopher states, if you try to live someone else's life, no one will live yours. You were granted this one life, your own task. But if you constantly worry about your parents' opinions, society's expectations, or your friends' judgments, then you are no longer living your life. You are living a narrative someone else composed for you. A narrative where you are never enough. A narrative where you are perpetually scared. A narrative where you cannot breathe. But once you grasp this truth, you can begin to rewrite your story. Here are 5 real situations and how to navigate them using the power of Knight 3-1. When your parents pressure you to do something you do not want, ask, whose life will be affected by this decision? Your task, choose the life you desire. Their task, deal with their feelings. You can be kind, but you do not need to be obedient. 2, when someone criticizes your dream, ask, am I living for their approval? Your task, remain true to your vision. Their task, choose whether to support or not. Their opinion does not dictate your direction. 3, when you feel guilty for saying no, ask, is this something I absolutely must do? Your task, honor your time and energy. Their task, handle their reaction. You do not owe anyone constant access to your life. 4, when someone does not reciprocate your love, ask, can I control how they feel? Your task, love genuinely. Their task, love or not, that is their choice. True love involves no control. 5, when you are afraid to express your truth, ask, is the truth more important than being liked? Your task, speak with honesty. Their task, choose how to react. You cannot be free if you are always inauthentic. Truth for freedom does not come from being accepted. It comes from being real. The philosopher delivers a powerful statement here. When you clearly separate tasks, you no longer need to be manipulated by praise or controlled by criticism. Why? Because you stop chasing approval. You stop fearing rejection. You stop pretending. And that is the dawn of emotional freedom. There was a woman who spent her entire life striving to be the perfect daughter. She studied what her parents desired. She married whom they approved. She lived near them, cared for them, smiled daily. But internally, she was exhausted, angry, dead inside. One day, she read this book. She finally asked herself, what is my task? And what is theirs? And in that moment, she ceased apologizing. She left the marriage. She moved to another city. She launched her own business. Her parents were furious. The community gossiped. But she was finally alive. She did not become selfish. She became free. That is the gift of task separation. You are responsible for your actions, your honesty, your effort, your life. But you are not responsible for how others feel about it. The courage to be disliked means you live your truth. You speak with love, but without fear. You stop begging for approval. You perform your task and allow others to perform theirs. That is when peace enters your heart. Night 3 concludes. Night 4, where the center of the world is. You are not the center of the world, but you are a part of it. And that is beautiful. The young man is frustrated once more. If I separate tasks as you suggested, he argues, if I stop living for others and only focus on myself, will I not become cold, selfish, and isolated? Do we not all require praise, support, and community to be happy? The philosopher smiles. That is precisely what we will discuss tonight. The secret to true belonging is not to be liked, it is to contribute. And with that, we embark on the deepest emotional shift presented in this book. Truth 1, we all desire to belong, but we seek it in the wrong places. As human beings, we are born with a deep, inherent need. We want to feel that our life matters, that we are accepted, that we are part of something greater. But instead of pursuing genuine connection, we pursue validation. We try to be superior to others, hoping they will respect us. We post on social media seeking likes. We conceal our pain to avoid judgment. We alter our personality depending on our company. And the most damaging part, we begin to believe that our worth hinges on how others perceive us. That is the trap of modern life. That is how we lose our identity. But the philosopher asserts, you are not the center of the universe, but you are not unwanted either. You are a member of the community of people, and your happiness begins when you decide to contribute to that community. This is what Adler termed community feeling, and it is the key to emotional healing. Truth 2. Being special separates you from others. Contributing connects you. Let us revisit a point from the previous chapter. We learned that striving to be special is a trap. Because when you desire to be special, you automatically compete with others, judge others, perceive yourself as above or below them. It becomes I am better than you or I am worse than you, but never we are equals. This fosters jealousy, isolation, and constant pressure to validate your worth. But true happiness does not arise from being admired. It arises from being connected. It arises from feeling, I am not alone. I am part of this world. I can offer something. There is a man who works as a janitor in a school. He cleans the halls every morning before students arrive. No one thanks him. Most people do not even notice him. He is not special. But one day, a young boy enters school in tears. His shoes are broken. He feels embarrassed. The janitor quietly retrieves an extra pair of shoes he keeps in his supply room. He gives them to the boy. No words, just a warm smile. Years later, that boy becomes a teacher. And when asked who inspired him most, he recounts, the janitor who gave me shoes without asking for anything. That janitor was not wealthy, famous, or special, but he contributed and his life mattered. That is community feeling. That is the essence of this chapter. Truth 3, the world does not revolve around you, and that is freedom. When we believe we are the focal point of everything, life becomes burdensome. If someone ignores us, we take it personally. If someone criticizes us, we feel devastated. If someone does not return a smile, we overthink. But the philosopher teaches people are not thinking about you as much as you believe they are. This is not an insult. It is a liberation. Because it means you are permitted to make mistakes. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to control how others perceive you. You can simply live, breathe, be real. You are not being scrutinized by the world. You are being invited by it to participate, not to perform. There is a girl who attends a party. She is anxious. What will people think of my dress? Am I too quiet? Will they like me? She attempts to impress. She laughs too loudly. She acts like someone else. She returns home feeling empty. The next time, she remembers Adler's wisdom. You are not the center of attention. People are too preoccupied with themselves. So, she goes to the party again, but this time she listens more. She inquires about others' well-being. She helps serve food. She comforts a friend. And for the first time, she feels a sense of belonging. She did not try to be liked. She simply showed up and offered love without fear. That is the transformation. Truth for happiness is not about receiving love. It is about offering it. We are conditioned to chase things, be beautiful, be rich, be talented, be admired. But Adler reverses the question, not what can I obtain from life, but what can I give to life? This mindset alters everything. When you speak to serve, not to impress. When you work to contribute, not to dominate. When you love freely, not conditionally. You stop asking, do they like me? And start asking, how can I help? That is the origin of true confidence. That is where genuine peace begins. Truth 5, unhappiness stems from self-centered thinking. The philosopher makes a bold assertion. The more you focus on yourself, the more dissatisfied you will feel. Why? Because when your entire world revolves around, what about me? Why am I not happy? Why do people not care about me? You close your heart. You narrow your vision. You forget that happiness flourishes only in connection. The more you shift your attention from self to service, the more your pain dissipates. You are not here to be special. You are not here to be superior to anyone. You are here to contribute, to connect, to be part of something larger than yourself. And when you cease trying to prove your worth and begin living with love, humility, and service, you start to feel what you have been missing your entire life belonging, meaning peace. You do not have to be liked. You do not have to be perfect. You just have to be present and helpful in the life around you. That is the true path to happiness. If this chapter stirred your emotions, if it opened your heart or brought quiet tears, it is because it spoke to the part of you that has always yearned for one thing to matter, to be part of something. And now you know you already are. Night 4 concludes. Night 5, to live in earnest in the here and now. The only life you truly possess is the one you live in this moment. The young man returns for the final night, but this time his anger has subsided. He is quiet, his eyes wide. He has been profoundly shaken. Something within him has shifted. He says, "Everything you have told me these past nights is heavy. It is real. But now I have a question. If we are not controlled by our past, if we do not need praise, if we must contribute without needing recognition, then tell me, how do I live my life right now, today, with all the pressure, all the uncertainty? How do I live fully, honestly, and without regret?" And the philosopher replies with the most crucial answer in the entire book. Live as if you are dancing, not to reach the end, but because every step matters. And that is where Night 5 begins. Truth 1, the goal of life is not to reach a destination, it is to dance through the journey. Most people perceive life as climbing a mountain, study hard to earn a degree, work diligently to accumulate wealth, marry to feel complete, work harder to achieve success, continue until retirement, and then finally you can be happy. But this notion is perilous because it implies happiness is always in the distant future. You cannot rest. You cannot enjoy. You must relentlessly climb. And then one day, you look back and realize you spent your entire life preparing to live, but you never actually lived. That is the anguish of modern life. There was a man who dedicated 40 years to a job he did not love. He rationalized, I am doing this for my children, for retirement, for the future. He woke early, returned home exhausted, missed his child's birthdays, postponed vacations, suppressed his dreams. At 65, he finally retired, but his body was weary. His wife was ill. His child had grown up without him. He sat on his porch and wondered, where did it all go? He scaled a mountain for decades and forgot to dance along the way. That is what this chapter saves you from. Truth 2, life happens only in the present. The philosopher utters something profoundly true. The past does not exist. The future does not exist. The only reality is now, and the only life you can live is now. But what do most of us do? We regret the past. I should not have said that. I ruined everything. We fear the future. What if I fail? What if I am alone? We miss the present moment. I will be happy when. And so, we suffer in two places that do not even exist, the past and the future. But peace resides only in this moment. There was a girl walking on the beach. The sunset was breathtaking. The waves sang a gentle song. The breeze was soft. But her mind was screaming, what if I fail the exam? Why did he stop texting me? I am not good enough. I will never be happy. She was physically present, but mentally elsewhere. So the sunset passed. The moment ended, and she felt nothing. This is how we miss life. Not because life lacks beauty, but because we are not truly present to experience it. The book teaches us that happiness is not something you pursue, it is something you perceive in the moment you inhabit. Truth 3, live in the moment, not for the moment. Some interpret life in the now as a call to party, escape, and disregard the future. But that is not Adler's message. He advocates living in the present with responsibility, with love, with awareness. Not to flee life, but to fully experience it, one moment at a time. It is not about distraction, it is about attention. Pay attention to the person before you, the words you speak, the food you eat, the sky above you, the work you do, the heart that beats within you right now. Because if you keep waiting for a grand moment, you will overlook the millions of small ones that comprise your life. A boy struggling with anxiety sought help from a monk. He confessed, my mind is always racing. I cannot stop worrying. The monk instructed, for the next week, I want you to do one thing. Brush your teeth with full awareness. Do not think about anything else. Just feel the brush, smell the toothpaste, hear the water. The boy chuckled, that is it. But he tried it. On day 3, for the first time in years, he experienced peace. Not because his life changed, but because his presence changed. That is the power of mindful living. Truth 4, you do not need to be someone special to live a special life. Many individuals do not live fully because they believe, I am not ready. I need more success. I am not important enough. But the philosopher states, you are living now. You are already complete, and your life possesses value simply because you are choosing to live it earnestly. You do not need to wait to begin. You do not need to be rich, famous, beautiful, or successful. All you need to do is show up for your own life with full presence, full heart, and full courage. Truth 5, live as if you are being watched by no one, but living for everyone. The philosopher concludes with a story. A man walks into a garden alone. He sees a dying tree. He quietly waters it. No one sees him. No one praises him. But he smiles because he knows he performed the right action. That is what it means to live with courage. Not for applause, but for contribution. So ask yourself, can I live today not to prove anything, but just to be fully alive? Can I love someone not to receive love, but just to give it? Can I do my work not for status, but because it matters? That is the path to joy. Truth 6. You can start over every morning. The philosopher tells the young man, you do not need to carry yesterday into today. You do not need to wait until next year. You are free this very second to begin again. And that is one of the most hopeful declarations a person can hear, because no matter your past, no matter your pain, no matter your age or failures or fears, you can say, today I begin again. Today I will live with courage. Today I will be present, honest, and free. And that is enough. There was a woman who lost everything. Her husband died. Her business failed. Her children stopped calling. She sat in her small apartment and cried every night. But one morning, she opened a window. The light touched her skin. The air smelled like rain. And she whispered, I am still here. She made tea, sat quietly, listened to a bird. And for the first time in years, she felt alive. She did not fix everything. She did not become rich or famous. She just decided, I will live this one moment earnestly, and slowly, step by step, her life returned. Not because she fought for success, but because she showed up for life. That is the meaning of this chapter. Life is not something you prepare for. Life is not something you chase. Life is not something you wait to begin. Life is what you do right now, in this very breath, in this very action, in this very step. You do not need to know your purpose. You just need to live purposefully in this moment. That is what it means to live in earnest. That is what it means to have the courage to be disliked. That is what it means to live free. The young man finally understands. He stands up, he smiles. His eyes are no longer afraid. He says, I do not know what the future holds, but I know this, I will live today honestly. I will live today bravely. I will live today like it matters. And the philosopher nods. He does not say anything, because some lessons do not need to be repeated. They just need to be lived. This is not merely the end of a summary. This is the beginning of your new life. If you have come this far, if you have felt the pain, the hope, the truth in these words, then promise yourself this. Do not wait to be liked. Do not hide behind your past. Do not live for applause. Do not wait for the perfect future. Just begin here, now, with courage, with honesty, with presence. Because that is the only life that truly belongs to you. So now you have heard it all. 5 nights, 5 conversations, 5 truths that possess the power to change your entire life. Not tomorrow, not next year, but starting today. And perhaps this summary made you shed a quiet tear. Perhaps it made you reflect on the people you have been trying to impress, or the past you have been carrying like a heavy burden. Maybe for the first time, you realize you do not need to be perfect. You do not need to be special. You do not need to be liked by everyone. You just need to live with honesty, with courage, and with presence. Because life is not waiting for you at the summit of some mountain. Life is unfolding right now, in the way you smile at a stranger, in the way you forgive yourself for yesterday, in the way you pause and notice the sky above you. You do not need permission to begin again. You already possess it. And if this book has taught us anything, it is this: you are free. You are enough. And you are allowed to live your truth, even if the world does not comprehend it. You do not need to chase approval. You do not need to be fearless. You just need to have the courage to be disliked and still keep going. If this summary touched your heart, if even one moment made you perceive life a little differently, then do not keep it to yourself. Share it, rewatch it, live it. And remember, this video was not just a summary. It was a mirror. A mirror reflecting the strongest, most peaceful, most honest version of yourself. The version that has been waiting for you to awaken and declare, I am no longer afraid. I choose to live right here, right now. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening with your whole heart. And thank you for having the courage to become free.